Hello and welcome to the show. I wanted to do a little dialogue about some of my own thoughts about what's happening with humanity and the coming transhumanism. And it got me thinking about how being human, I know there's many people out there that do shows about, we've got to take back our sovereignty, be the human we want to be, don't allow the dark forces to interfere with our lives and such like. And it reminded me of, I think it's an old Jewish saying of let go and let God. We have to let go of a lot of these ideas that are bringing us down or perhaps taking us on a bit of a dark path. We have to let go of them, make a space inside ourselves. We're like temples of God, houses of God. We have to make that space to let the divine source come into us to help us, to lead us, to show us, to give us the inclination to continue, to indicate to us which way to go. So it's kind of letting go of all that and whatever else is going on in your life. You let go and instead let God. Let God speak to you. And I was wondering, I wonder what happens when, if the future scenario does occur that we do end up in cyborg bodies. So I myself will not do that. That's not happening to me. Because I don't think they can move consciousness into a cyborg body. I don't think these people that have this agenda understand what consciousness and soul life is. So they're not going to be able to do this. And I wrote a little book about this called Monkey Mind Robot Body. It's a fiction tale, but it's an idea of how can they do this? How can they put the human consciousness into a cyborg body, into a robotic body? Which, as I was saying at the beginning, I don't think can be done through a scientific method, but maybe with a bit of magic, maybe. Anyway, so if the future of humanity is people stuck in cyborg bodies, then they're going to live forever because they'll always be able to replace parts when something happens to it. You lose a leg, put another robotic leg on. You probably won't have inside organs, so they won't need, they're not going to run down and you're going to die because most people die because your bodies run down. If we could keep our bodies healthy, well, we'll live forever. And one of the things that I was pondering on was if it's a delusion that they're telling people that we're in the future, they're going to be able to put this consciousness into humanity. They're going to move your human consciousness into a cyborg body. I know they've been working on this. They have all this avatar stuff going on. You can have your digital persona online, blah, blah, blah. And we all know that's not real, is it? That's like what Rudolf Steiner would call a doppelganger. It's the electronic version of yourself. Now, they might be able to upload that into a robotic body, but I don't think that's you yourself, your individuality, the actual person that you are here in this organic organic body that you have now. That would be, yeah, a doppelganger of yourself, would be a double, electronic double. That'd be walking about in this cyborg body. And then that got me to thinking then, because of that, everybody's going to be living together in their digital world body. There'll be no new people being born because there will be no need for that because you're going to live forever. We can't have well, first of all, I just don't know how a robot would give birth. Maybe they just go and create a little baby robot and you'd pretend that was your child and then they'd upgrade it throughout its life. But also, because you're going to live together, there'd be no need to increase the human race. And for the majority of people that live on this planet, it is to have children, have a life, have children to continue your lineage. Well, you won't need to do that anymore because you'll already be continuing forever. So then there'd be no new souls or new people coming down, new bodies or new human bodies, no new souls. And in that case, if everybody was a cyborg and the population stopped just at what it is, then there'd be no chance for future initiates, future Messiah type people, no chance for a Buddha type person to be born, because all of humanity will be kept in this cyborg population. And because of that, then would they would a religious idea still continue in them kind of beings, these cyborgs, or would they just live a material secular life? There being perhaps no need for a belief in a higher being, no need for a belief in a spiritual understanding of how the world works, because your world would be complete, because you're living in your cyborg body that's indestructible and you're going to live forever and everything could be supplied for you, or you can do anything and everything because obviously you'll be stronger and faster and such like. So because there be no new births, then there's no chance for a new savior, let's say, for want of a better word, to be born into this world. And we can look back over the myths of the of population of humanity, all the myths of the past. And obviously, we've got Christ who came and led the people on a new spiritual path. Before that, we had Buddha who came and reached enlightenment and took people on a spiritual path. And we could go back. Zarathustra understood how, from the Persian myths, Ahura Mazda, the sun god's up there, and then there's in Zoroastrianism, there's also the dark forces, the Ahriman side of it. There'd be, even the Egyptian myths, Osiris, Isis. Osiris is killed by the dark forces, but Isis manages to find his body and from that impregnate herself, maybe through technology, maybe through magic, and give birth to Horus, who then goes on to lead the people on another spiritual path. So we wouldn't have people like that being born into the population because there would be no new births. And I wonder if this is all part of the dark forces agenda. They're trying, because to me, the dark forces mission is to stop us reaching the divine. And what better way to do that than trapping us here on Earth? And I know many of you would be going, oh, Rudolf Steiner and the ape sphere. Maybe this is the ape sphere they're trapping us on. Maybe the ape sphere is outside this realm. Maybe that's not working for them. So they're trying to trap us here on this Earth. Because if we're not returning to the divine source as we should be when we die, hopefully a better person than we was, or a developed spiritual person with a soul, their mission is to keep us here trapped so that we don't have a need or a want to go back to the divine or to be part of the divine mission, part of the divine working. It would do it, the dark forces would do their best to keep us here through illusion and delusion. And as we know from Gurdjieff, he said that a long, 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 long time ago on this planet, when it was created, something was going wrong, but humanity was already on here. And so for the angels and the hierarchy to come down and fix it, they had to give humanity what they called a kunda buffer, like a tail out of our spine, to kind of keep us happy for a while, full of illusions and delights, so that we didn't notice that they were doing the work to fix the planet and the whole cosmology of how the planet works in the cosmology of the universe with the divine source. And that got taken away when everything was fixed. But many of us, or most of the majority of the people, were still caught up in the delusion of the kunda buffer, even though it had gone from them because it was addictive, obviously. It must have been offering a kind of life that people enjoyed and wanted to continue that way. Maybe it was well, Gurdjieff says that it made us see life upside down. And I don't think it means upside down that, everything outside was upside down, but what our meaning on life was perhaps not explained properly at that time, because they had to keep us kind of quiet and out of the way while they did all the fixing. Didn't want us humans getting involved and messing it all up. Fix the planet, take the Kunda buffer away. But we still did. It was like a paradise, I suppose, a worldly, delightful place that maybe it was a bit materialistic. I don't know, but maybe everything was provided for us, or it gave us a kind of imagination that we all still clung to, because many people live in imagination. But I think it must have detached us from the divine source. So we were living in our own realm and world and understanding life how us humans thinking we're alone, so that we didn't reconnect with the divine. Maybe that was an error in having this Kunda buffer. And maybe I think that is a trap of the dark forces as well. They're doing their best to tell us there is no God out there. There is no spiritual hierarchy. There is no spiritual path for us to walk along. The divine sources wants us to work with it, him, her, it, and keep the harmony of the universe going, where the dark forces would be trying to create chaos. And a good way of doing that is to disconnect us from the divine. The book of Job talks about how, which is in the Old Testament, I think it's the devil. I don't think he's called Satan, but he's definitely not called Lucifer. Or maybe he is called Satan, or maybe he's just called the devil in the book of Job. I haven't got it handy. But he's offers a bet with the divine source, with God, that he can make Job give up his belief in God, and throws all these horrible things at him, destroys his family, ruins his livelihood, gives him plagues and boils. But Job never gives up on God. But other people would, weaker souls would. So this is why I think the dark forces continually bombard people with making things as difficult as possible for us on this life, or throwing us off course, or bringing us sadness, putting us in situations which we just think we just cannot cope with, because we turn away from God. And that brings me back round to that saying that I was saying at the beginning of let go and let God. But many people don't let go. They hang on to their suffering. They hang on to all the crap that's being thrown at them. And in a way, many people enjoy it. They get a kick out of it. Maybe it gives them attention from other people, or it's something to moan about. Because I think a lot of people don't know what it's like to be happy in their life or at peace. And doing a spiritual path should be bringing that kind of thing to you, a happiness, an inner peace, to help you go forward and live this life, in a much more joyful, harmonious way. We still come up against blockages, we still come up against difficulties, but when you've got an inner peace within you, or that you have trust in the divine, you handle it all a lot better. You're not knocked off your pedestal, not able to get back up again. We're trying to keep ourselves uplifted. And so I was just pondering, maybe this is part of the dark forces situation of they want to make sure that no new saviors come. We are going into the age of Aquarius, which is a time of each man and woman for themselves. We had all the teachers in the age of Pisces. All the teachers came and told us what we need to know. We just have to implement that into our lives. I know many people are waiting for a Messiah to come and rescue them. Many people are waiting for Maitreya to return, who's meant to be the last Buddha. I'm not sure if it's going to be in the age of Aquarius. I've been hearing a lot of people saying, Christ is just around the corner. I'm not sure if that's quite right at the moment myself. That would be wonderful if it was. Got to make sure we don't get deluded by the Antichrist. the dark forces might provide the Antichrist, because at first the Antichrist is going to come and everybody's going to think how glorious he is. I'm assuming it's going to be a he. And he's going to give all these benefits and make everybody feel wonderful. And then once he's got us all under his temptations and caught up with him and adoring him on that pedestal, things will start to change and go a bit more darker. Or maybe he'll just tell us all that there is no God, there is no divine source, and that we need to wake up to the fact that we're just humans who just happen to be born by accident through, I don't know, let's say the Big Bang theory or Darwin's theory on this earth. And maybe he's going to try and take away all the spiritual stories and spiritual ideas, the sacred texts. But I think those with a real soul inside them will see through. And this is also part of doing work like Gurdjieff, because he's waking you up so that you can be aware of what's happening. And many people were aware of the last few years, the shit show of the last few years, saw through it because they were more attuned to vibrations, maybe, and could feel that something was wrong. Smelt out, that the rats were out. So, also doing this kind of work, whatever your esoteric path is, hopefully will have your spider senses working so that you're aware when you're being fooled or someone's trying to pull the hood over you. Instead, keep your eyes and ears real. As Steiner says, we need real thinking and real feeling and real will. And I believe Gurdjieff is saying exactly the same thing, but in just different terminology. You need to just stay awake. And that's physically, spiritually, intellectually, emotionally, and be aware. So thank you for watching. Until next time. That's my little ran over.